So I thought today we would do a video on shame and hating oneself. So after working with people for 13 years now, I realized that if you have high shame and a tendency to hate yourself, if I were to say there was no doer, that can be super relaxing, or if I am to say there is no self. Because if you have a lot of self-hatred, you often regret a lot of decisions that you've made. You know, when you hate yourself, you're beating yourself up, so you're in a lot of remorse and regret and feeling ashamed of what you are and what you've done and what you've been, which none of it's true, but the mind grabs onto it. So the idea then that there is no doer can be deeply relaxing, or there is no self, and then there is only this moment, and that is the truth. But particularly for those that have a lot of self-hatred, that can be very relaxing. That nobody ever made a mistake. Everything was the will of God, the will of the divine. Nothing was you. However, when I begin to give apparent prescription, so if I were to recommend something or advise something, this can bring up a lot of self-hatred and shame, because often if you've got lots of self-hatred, then it becomes very difficult for you to do things in life because you hate yourself and you're thinking you're going to fail. So it kind of makes your day-to-day life very complex and difficult, and the idea of a new task that you might fail at is very scary. So what the mind does is it might then start saying she's bad or she's a wrong teacher because there's so much shame that cannot be held, and so it's projected outwards. But shame is a very prolific feeling. It's very intense to hold. And I would recommend, if you struggle with that, to go and get somebody that's really specialized in it to help you hold it, to be able to feel the feeling of shame without reacting. So if I was to give, like, say, the apparent prescription of staying in the I am, that's what Nisargadatta recommends, is to move the personal consciousness or personal awareness into the I am, and to recognize it again and again and discern that the thoughts aren't true, that what you're thinking is not true. Roger Castillo, my teacher, would say that isn't actually a prescription, that's a description of something that may happen, which I love it when he says that. And when I give that apparent prescription, I'm not saying that is the path for everyone or that you should do it. And I'm certainly not saying that you are bad if you have shame. But I don't know if you have shame, if you can hear that, because the shame is so strong, looking at the shame is too impossible. So you might just be sitting there thinking that I'm a moron, I don't know what I'm talking about. Whereas underneath and behind that there is shame. And the reason that I point it out is not to shame you more, but is to try and encourage this discernment to stay with what you feel. When you're running from that shame, it's going to create all types of catastrophes in your life. That's what Nisargadatta would call karma. If you're hating yourself, then you're going to be like pushing up against life, because it's so painful to hate yourself and to be ashamed of yourself. You'll then project it outwards and make it very difficult to get on with other humans and to get on in jobs, because your shame will be creating all types of drama. Because when you can't hold your shame, you'll then blame other people and try to get other people to feel shame, so you don't have to heal it, or not heal it, feel it. And it's not going to take one video to do that, but maybe it encourages you to go to a therapist that's really specialized in it and really knows what they're doing, to begin to be able to hold that. Because when you're in the crux of it, you're seeking, and seeking is suffering. You're seeking to not be shameful. You're seeking to be a perfect person. And that is incredibly stressful. So you're making life for yourself and for the others incredibly difficult when that is playing. But I even feel in saying that it can evoke lots of shame in people. So just to go back to non-duality, I would say that everything that I and you do is absolute perfection arising from the divine. And there's nothing and nobody that has done anything wrong. There is feelings appearing, and then we have this narrator and this person that then tries to either get more of those feelings or get rid of those feelings. And with shame, it's so they want to get rid of it, but then they also kind of keep bringing it towards themselves, because shame often then makes you act shamefully. Like you hate yourself, then you self-sabotage, and then other people look down on you. You know, it's like a cycle. I think non-duality, even though non-duality is not meant to be a healing modality, it can be healing for shame. To really see that there's never anybody that did anything wrong, and to ask the question, who are you? And if it evokes shame, too much shame in you, and teachers that give prescription, just ignore them. Everybody's path is totally individual and unique to you. And when you're ready, you will be able to hear that, and you will be able to hold the shame. More than likely though, even though you most probably think all therapists are shit, but that's part of the shame, like nobody understands me, they're never going to get it, I would recommend reaching out to somebody that can really help you hold it, because it's such a strong feeling that most people can't hold it. But most people don't, it's like a spectrum. Some people don't have such strong state shame. But if you've got really strong set shame, most people can't hold it, so they're projecting it outwards. Or they're constantly in inertia beating themselves up. And there's so many tools out there to help you, but when you have shame, that is very difficult to take those tools, because then that means there's something wrong with you, and then that's what you're trying to escape from. So it's just gently. Like God is so compassionate that it's going to keep repetitively bringing situations into your life which will keep showing you what is your block. So if you have too much shame, life will keep reflecting that back to you. If you too much fear, life will reflect that back to you. It does it through life, because in the end there is no separation from you and life. It is all one movement. Yeah, nice. Yeah, thank you everybody. I really, really wish you everything.